All right, we're still missing a few people, but it's 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. We'll welcome everyone to the Harriman City Council on March 3rd, 2015. We'll start our meeting with a prayer by Councilman Wright and follow that with a pledge to the flag. Councilman Wright?
Yeah, would you join us? Heavenly Father, tonight we pray your blessings on all mankind, regardless of race or gender or economic stature. And Lord, we pray especially for those across the world who are being persecuted, and many of them are being killed, including children, for their religious beliefs. Father, we're so thankful that we live in the land of the free and that people are free to worship as they please. Help us to treat all persons with respect and dignity, and lead our thoughts and minds tonight to serve our people in a manner that honors you and honors our people. We give thanks once again for the privilege of living in the land of the free. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris Taylor, Wayne Best,
Here.
Buddy Holly,
Here.
Kenyon Me,
Here.
Ken Minor,
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
Here.
Included in everyone's packet is a copy of the minutes from the February 10th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Motion by Councilman Best, second by Councilman Me. Councilman Best. Councilman Me. Floor is open for anyone that has any question, discussion, amendments, corrections, deletions. Call roll, please.
Wayne Best,
Yes.
Buddy Holly,
Yes.
Kenyon Me,
Yes.
Ken Minor,
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Is there a motion to pay the salaries? Motion by Councilman Minor, second. Second by Councilman Best. Councilman Minor. No, sir. Councilman Best. Floor is open for question or discussion about salaries. Call roll, please.
Wayne Best,
Yes.
Buddy Holly,
Yes.
Kenyon Me,
Yes.
Ken Minor,
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
At this time, we hear delegations from the audience. If you would like to address council, you may do so at this time. If you would stand and state your name, try and limit your comments to 3 minutes to accommodate others that might like to speak. Wade?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Council, thank you for, again, allowing me a chance to come talk to you tonight. I've got our 2014 annual report that I wanted to distribute to you all, to show you what you're getting in return for your investment in the Rhone Alliance, and to thank you for your investment into the economic development efforts that the Alliance puts forth every year. I'm proud of the report. Pam May, as many of you know, put this together over the last couple months. She did a fantastic job. We condensed this to help make it a quicker read for you. But what I'm more proud of than the appearance and the great job that she did is the story that this tells. I think you'll find that the information found in this report has a lot of impact, and that you'll find that your investment in the Alliance is money well spent. That being said, we're not sitting back on our laurels, and we're going to build on the efforts that we put together in 2014. And I want to give you a little bit of an update. It's been a few months since I was able to come here and talk to you about what was going on in economic development, although I see many of you throughout the community or in efforts that you serve on boards of ours and those types of things. But in the area of industrial recruitment and retention, we've seen a slowdown in prospect activity since the holidays. This being my first winter I've worked in economic development, I understand that it's not unusual to see a slowdown in referrals, mainly due to weather. So as weather picks back up, we expect our prospect activity to pick up as well. However, that doesn't mean that we don't have active projects in the pipeline that are progressing along in hopes that they will decide to locate here. So as we continue to work these projects, stay tuned for more information as I know more. But we continue to work very hard to bring quality companies with high-paying jobs to Roane County. One thing I do want to talk to you about, because I've been working with Mayor Mason in particular about, is we're trying to put together a 3-year retail development recruitment plan for the county. And we're working with a third-party company called Retail Strategies to do this. The alliance would act on behalf or represent the county in this effort, but each of the cities and the county would operate independently. And I know Mayor Mason has talked to you about that, and I talked to Kevin Helms about it as well. I just want to encourage you to seriously consider this effort. It's much more cost effective the more partners are in play, and I believe that it could make a serious difference for the city of Harriman and Rome County at large in how we're able to reach out to the retail industry around the country and let them know this is a great place to locate. So I just encourage you to join us in this effort to do this. It's not an alliance effort. It's just that the alliance would be an equal partner with each of the cities in this. Tennessee Medieval Fair. The alliance is a strong believer and partner to promote Tennessee Medieval Fair. In fact, Pam was telling me today that we're going to create a page on our website devoted just for the promotion of that. Pam also does a ton of promotion on social media for Tennessee Medieval Fair. I think we're getting ready to do an email blast to our total membership, chamber membership, on a press release they just put out today, maybe. If Barry may have put out is Barry here by chance? No, I didn't want to speak for it. But we're getting ready to put that out too. Our chamber membership continues to grow, as you'll see there on the page for the chamber. Our activities grew significantly. The number of members continues to grow, and more importantly, the benefits that we're providing continue to grow as well. And we believe that 2015 is going to hold even more growth based on the structure that we've created for that. And then finally, in education and workforce development, spoken to several groups. I may have mentioned this to you all before. Workforce development is the #1 primary economic driver for a company looking to locate in any community across the country. Every community knows this. So each community is tackling this different. What Rome County has done is I'm sorry.
No.
I thought maybe you were cutting me off. What Rome County's done is we're working with Rome County Schools, Rome State, and TCAT, and getting the right people from those institutions together to meet with our industries and our businesses, to hear the concerns that they have about the workforce, so that our educators can go back and create a plan to address those concerns that the workforce has. It's called a Workforce Development Council. We think it's going to provide a great benefit to our existing businesses, which will in turn help us at the Alliance recruit new businesses. That this is a council that you can come be a part of that will help you create the workforce that you need right here. So proud that we'll be able to put this together, and it's just one more way that we're hopefully able to attract new and good companies. Any questions I have for you? And I know I've probably taken up more than 3 minutes, and I want to get out of your all's way because you probably have a long meeting. Anything?
The retail strategies, that's going to be a presentation that Kevin makes next week at the meeting to try to get a feel from everybody on whether that's a way that we want to go in the upcoming budget. So I don't think they're aware of that yet.
Okay.
But I know that Wade's a big believer in communication. We've had a couple of meetings with the mayors so far in the last 4 months, I guess, and also about a week ago you had first ever city manager joint meeting, and everybody in Oak Ridge and Oliver Springs.
All 5 cities, including Oak Ridge and the county executive.
All city managers came, which was neat. And they all talked about different things that are going on, how everybody can help everybody. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, we're proud of it, and hopefully it'll mean good things for everybody. Anything else?
Medieval Fair. I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but the Renaissance Festival has changed its name, so that's what he was referring to in the Medieval Fair.
Barry can tell you all about it. I'm sure she will. She'll be in soon to promote, but it's going to end up being a good thing. The name change is, but that's what it is. East Tennessee Renaissance Festival is now Tennessee Medieval Fair.
Yep.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. We're still in the delegations. If anyone would like to address council.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
John Liskey with Disabled American Veterans. I invited you all to our little key handing over ceremony because we did get the van and had it all duded up. It'll be out in the paper. It doesn't lessen the fact that we still need ongoing help with the van program itself. So the
roadblock scheduled for this Saturday. I myself is gonna be there, and I have invited the membership of the different veterans organizations to come along and assist. So what I need to find out is what do we need along in the word of means of like signage and stuff like that. We can get the signs and we can get them made up. It's just that if it's gonna be the same as we did over there in Kingston, that's not a problem. So I assume that we're gonna meet over here at the fire hall about 8:30-ish.
I'm not sure about the details. I do know signage is needed. That will be the main thing that's needed from you
Okay.
all. What the roadblock's for.
Okay, I can do that. So, but Harriman was on the back of the van. I just wanted to point out that anyone and everyone that helped us with that, their name is on the back. Harriman was left out mainly because, not because it was intentional, because the level of support usually is a little contest and the color. And so the city of Harriman already has a slot allotted to it. It's just that what color we're gonna use, and it's already been paid for and stuff like that. So I was gonna wait till after the roadblock. But I know that there was a level of support with the one in Kingston that was over there, so I'm going to, include some of that in there, so, but I just wanted, some people said, well, what about Harriman? I said, hey, I'll take care of him, they're already on the list, so, thank you.
We appreciate it, thank you. Still in our delegations? Now we'll move on to old business. Councilman Holly. Councilman Me.
No, sir.
Councilman Best, do you have any old business?
I don't know if this would be considered old business. I just want to say I'm very appreciative of the boys for what they've done the last couple of weeks under the weather conditions, police, the fire, the street department. And, our roads, I think, was the best looking ones in the county from what I've seen. And, I want to tell you, from my standpoint, thank you.
I agree, and I'm glad you said that. Also, the utility board, we had, the Harriman Utility Board really had a chance to show out, and I know we got an ice event coming up Thursday, and I'll probably have to eat crow, but, I know. But, you all had very minimal outages, and, that was a big deal with all the ice that we had, so. The utility board did a great job as well. Councilman Best, still got the floor. Councilman Minor.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Wright.
No.
Move on to department reports. Dr. Curley, do you have anything?
I am pleased to report that I sent in the last payment on one of the $1.5 million loan notes for Midtown, and the other note will be retired this coming December. I will let you know that we had a counterfeit $100 bill this week. It was so good that human eye could not detect, either with a pen or holding up the watermark image. It was only after running through a machine at the bank that it was kicked out. And even after that, the bank couldn't tell. It was so good. And what they had done, they'd put a sheen over the paper so that the marker would not be absorbed in the paper. So we took a good $100 bill and that one and held it to the light. And you could tell the image was not the same. It looked like Ben Franklin on prednisone or something, because he had a bigger face. And so the bill was so good, it was not detectable hardly by human eye. So
Did we take that in?
we took it in on payment, but we could
Taxes?
not identify who it was.
Somebody pay the taxes with it?
They probably had it in error as well, if you just had one.
Well, it was folded in such a way that I think the person that gave it to us knew it was phony. It was folded and looked like it had been held in a billfold picture frame for some time. Because when you unfolded it, it had some distinct wrinkles, creases.
Did we give that to the FBI or who?
Well, the bank has to
Bank
retain
has
it. We have to eat the cost.
Yeah.
That's all.
Bill Young.
Appreciate that, Dr. Curley. I'll pass that along down the office tomorrow. Just give you some updates, and then I wanted to mention about the storm here in just a minute. First of all, we've submitted application for the 2015 CDBG grant, all that's gone in. I feel very hopeful we will get that, but, you know, it's several months down the road. It's actually in the fall before we have that termination, but everything's gone in on that. I've been talking about our outage management system, and we just got that online and for our electric system just about the time all this weather came along, which was really good because it gave us a good opportunity to test that out rather than just, you know, a single outage here or there, which you really don't get a feel for it. It worked really well. We did discover some bugs and things that we need to work on and getting those corrected, but it certainly helped us in dispatching the crews, locating problems, knowing where the outages were. And Steve, I think we could say it was a resounding success as far as using the system, and the guys are really kind of getting used to it. It's something new. Talking about the weather events, and we really had 3, I guess you would say, that we have encountered. At the height of, we had 1,800 customers out of power with the first one. We had around 1,500, that's total customers out in the second one. The third event, which was last week, the snow, that's more typical snow that we get around here other than all this ice and everything. We really didn't have, we had a few problems, but nothing major out of that. Had somebody tell me today that, you know, in the area in which they live, which is down the Midtown area, that the tree trimming we did along their road, they thought had really helped them. Their power was never off. Saying all that, you know, our neighbors have had, particularly Cumberland, Fentress County, you know, had tremendous problems. I'm not gonna stand here and tell you that could not be us next time. That could be us. Well, you get an inch of ice and heavy winds, you're gonna have some serious issues. We were very fortunate through both of these, but at the same time, I want to say that the work we've done as far as things I've been talking to you about of getting lines out of the woods, out on the right-of-ways, the tree trimming efforts, that's where this pays off for us, and it really helped us during this time. Also, I'd mentioned to you about the loop we put in on gas line down Bluff Road. You know, we had 2 mornings where it was 3 degrees, 2 degrees. We did have some drop in gas pressure, which is expected. Nothing that caused us any kind of issues, so we're probably not going to encounter much colder weather than that you know, typically here. So we feel pretty good that problem, for the most part, has been laid to rest, and that's really helped us as well. And just to say one other thing, and I do appreciate, Councilman, what you said about the police and the fire and the street department, because when you have something like this, it takes everybody working together. But I want to say on behalf of our employees that our folks were out there for the duration. They work extremely hard in tough conditions, in dangerous conditions. I'm very proud of what our employees do, not just during this time, but every day. And I think during these times, you know, we really see the kind of employees we have. They're there every day, but it really, until you see a crisis, just like I'm sure with police, fire, and everything else, that's when it really comes to the forefront. But I want to thank Steve Ladd and Frankie Davis, our directors in those departments, and all employees, and for our board and their support, and for your support for what we do. It takes a lot of money to move these lines and get them in the right of ways and trim the trees and do these things. But if we better serve our customers during this time, and most importantly to me, we keep our employees safe. Because I'll tell you, my number one goal, and the board knows this, is that everybody goes home at the end of the time to their families. That's more important than anything else we do. And I'm glad to say that happened. We had a couple of minor, you know, a couple of falls. You're gonna have that in an ice storm, but no serious injuries or anything like that. So we've been blessed. I don't know what's gonna happen Thursday. Thank you, Mayor, for jinxing us, but I hope that, we're hoping that it's just gonna kind of pass us by. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for spring, I'll say. Couple other things real quick. We mentioned about Dogwood Bryant Lane. That's one of those areas where we've been getting the line out of the woods down the Midtown area on the right of way. All that work was done before this. I'm sure it helped us out there. You can see what's going on in Rivertown Road. That project is still ongoing and will be ongoing as far as the utility relocations for some time to come. Unfortunately, I'm sure the weather's played a lot of havoc with what they're trying to do out there. Hopefully, we'll see some improvement in that. Last thing I'll mention is out in the Dickey Valley, Edwards Road area, out here on Poplar Creek Way, we have been, through the last several years, trying to upgrade the lines to build new three-phase lines in there. We're getting ready to start another phase of that. Steve's been working on acquiring the easements in that area, and again, when the weather breaks, we'll probably be getting started on that. That has really enabled us to better serve those customers in that part of our system. So, be glad to answer any questions.
Just one comment.
Yes, sir.
I was out today looking at the damage to the roads and stuff. I spent a couple hours in preparation for our offsite, you know. And I went up off Dogwood Road, Julian Lane. The guy that lives at the end of his name Julian, and he came out. It's a dead end road, so I had to turn around his driveway. I guess he wondered, what's this guy doing in here? And I told him who I was, and told him I was just looking at the damage and stuff. And he said, well, you tell those guys at HEB that, man, they really got my fire back on quickly. He said, I really appreciate that. And of course, there's part of the big tree still laying in his front yard there, big tree. And he said, he was very complimentary of how quickly you guys got saved.
Still in department reports. Chief, you have anything?
Mayor, the only thing I've got, I just want to remind everybody that this coming weekend, time changes. So when you change your clock, like the old saying, change your battery, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors and stuff like that. Guys, utility board can tell you about carbon monoxide. It's killed a lot of people this year, believe it or not, if you've been watching news and stuff. There's a lot of people, especially during this bad weather. When you do that, think about it. If you need some batteries, we've got some 9-volt batteries at the fire hall, so unless you have a lifetime alarm. So.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing we have is we're appreciative of the public letting us know about people in need in times of extreme weather. That's been very helpful to us so we can check on folks. We do ask that in cold weather and clinical weather, people continue to do that. That makes it easier for us to check on folks in need.
Thank you. Kevin.
First of all, I'd like to say, express my appreciation to the council for your understanding and flexibility with my schedule. It's allowed me to be able to assist coach in our city basketball league. And in case you didn't know, that's where I was at. And I left the rec center and came straight over here for the meeting. So thank you for understanding. I want to make sure the community knows, I think the council all knows at this point, that the first of our two recycling containers have been placed behind the city offices here until we're able to get the intersection Crescent and Roan Street opened. You can access that from Livonia Street, Crescent to the rear of the facility here. There's a trailer there. It accepts cardboard, paper, clear plastics, colored plastics. There's slots for each of those, so please begin to use that. The material will eventually be hauled to the county recycling facility. If it didn't get delivered today, within the next day or two, the second container will be delivered to the Public Works facility. So that one will also be available. They accept the same materials, and people can use whichever one is most convenient for them. Also, if we have any large special events in the area, we'll be able to utilize the one here at the city offices at the site of the special event. It's mounted on a trailer, so it can be hauled to, say, Riverfront Park. We were having something down there, so the recycling would be on site rather than having to be transported. With regard to the Margraves Bridge, I'd reached out to TDOT a couple of weeks ago, got a response that they were working on the project, but didn't really get much beyond that. I was fortunate this Monday morning to be able to go and meet with the engineer who's designing the project on site. And he was able to share quite a bit of information with regard to the project. So just to let you know, he felt like it would take about 2 months to update and finalize the design because the design was done close to 10 years ago. There have been a few changes that have been made in the standards since that point in time, so we've just got to make sure the plans reflect the most current regulations for the bridges. The more problematic thing for us, just simply from a time standpoint, is that the environmental documents have expired and will have to be updated. And unfortunately, that process will take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Most of my experiences have been it's about a 4-month process. So that will be the thing that holds us up the most with regard to the timing of the project. But just as soon as the environmental clearance is done, they'll have the designs updated, and at that point the state will begin the process of purchasing the last 4 pieces of right-of-way that will be needed for that project. I want to remind everyone that our strategic planning retreat will begin Friday at 3 o'clock. That will be held at the police department headquarters, and then it will pick up again on Saturday morning. I will be with the city's special appointed counsel for the lodging litigation in Loudon tomorrow afternoon. The first hearing has been set for that particular case, and the attorney, Michael Kelly, asked me to attend that hearing if I could, so I'll be going over to meet him for that at the courthouse. Our department heads, particularly with the assistance of Maria, have been working on the expenses that we incurred during the recent ice and snow event. We're trying to get that information together to take it to the county EOC on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. We'll have some team of representatives there at that point in time. Everyone will be trying to turn the expenses in so that they can begin to compile those on a countywide basis to see whether or not we're going to qualify for disaster assistance funding. And then finally, just wanted to let you know that we have, from the state, officially received a 1-year extension on our grant for the Farmers Market Pavilion. Rather than having to rush and trying to complete the project prior to June 30th, 2015, we will now have until June 30th, 2016 to complete that project. I'll be glad to answer questions.
Floor is open. Thank you, Kevin. Move on to committee reports. Any committee reports? I know we are low on salt. Does anyone know how low, or were we able to?
I don't think we have any.
Yeah, I don't know. Were we able to buy any?
We were able to get some more from the county. There, probably after we had used everything that we had in stock. I think we started the winter with 300 ton. We used all that. We were able to get 50 tons more from the county.
Committee reports. No, move on to the agenda item. If you don't mind, I would like to move the second agenda item up to accommodate Steve. Discuss and possibly approve a quote from Progressive Electric to retrofit the traffic signals at the intersection of Rome Street and Emory Drive, Bill Alexander. We had gotten a quote on that when we just wanted to get an explanation of the cost, because the original quote was just to retrofit the traffic signal, but Steve said that the cabling needed to be probably changed over as well because of the age, and I knew that we would probably have some questions, so Steve came to answer any questions. You should have something from Progression that is in your packet, and then Bill Young also handed out some more information on Harriman Utility Board letterhead. Steve, can you talk about the cabling real quick, and why it needs to be changed, and how urgent is it, or not urgent, but how important is it to be changed?
Cabling was put up when Bill Medley had McNutt and Brown back in the 80s. Without replacing just replacing the fixtures is like putting a worn out fan on a new motor. I mean, you know, the cabling has been there plenty of years. I'm sure it's got some sunlight damage to it. And, you know, the quote that I had figured up there highlighted, I think a couple of years ago, Mr. Tidwell asked me for some quote on the fixtures. That was to do Emory Street and Webster Pike. That was just the fixture only prices. To change out the cabling, put new loop detectors in it, talking with Bill, it needs the conflict monitor that's in the cabinet is outdated as well. That's their, you know, it's kind of like the 5 intersections that we just changed out through town. You know, they rehead and refixtured and recontrolled it. So that's why I guess there's such a difference between the earlier price, because like I said, that was just fixture only pricing. And this price from Progression was, y'all can see.
$28,765.
The only thing that I could see in there that I might balk on or whatever would be the control cabinet. I mean, I hadn't really went up and given a good visual on the cabinet to see. I think it's aluminum, so it probably hadn't deteriorated any, but, you know, you're not probably talking a whole lot of extra money for the cabinet. But
For the housing, you mean?
Yeah.
What about they said they probably could use this new existing electric service lead?
Yeah.
Is that a go? So that
Yeah.
550 would not have to be included?
Yeah,
in
that
that.
550 wouldn't be into
Steve, it's a total of 10 lines?
that. 7, 2, and 1, yep, 10, yes, sir.
Council's already voted to go ahead and replace it, but that was without the cabling and all that, so that's why we're back. We would. Is this able to go on our investment account? Or it is? Yes, sir.
I might also add, it says to reconnect to the existing loop detectors or the sensors that's in the road.
Yep.
I would suggest, well, I mean, those have been here a while, they've been passed a few times, to go ahead and cut new loop detectors in to keep from paying them to bring another crew back in.
What if that road gets paved in the next couple of years? Will they have to be replaced again? Because I think it is up to be paved in 2017.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then I would wait.
So you're saying you think we could probably get by with doing the 17,715 if we didn't want to go with the cabinet?
No, I'm saying the 17.7 was for the overhead span cable, loop detector cable, signal heads, and the cable. And then you got the other 10.5 is to replace the hardware inside the cabinet. Conflict monitor, control monitors, loop detectors.
The 28, does that cover everything we need?
Yes, sir.
That doesn't include the 13, doesn't include the 13,000, does it?
13 was just an estimate for the fixtures for that intersection and for Webster Road. That, you could actually throw that 13 out, because now this is just for.
So we're not looking at 40,000, we're looking
No,
at
sir.
28,000.
This was just a
doing
comparison.
one intersection.
That was the original information we were requested, the reason we passed that out. And the reason, as the mayor indicated, he brought this back is because in the follow-up, we found these other things necessary. Let me just say that, you know, from our experiences, to just, as Steve mentioned, just to replace the heads out there is not gonna be, you're not gonna be satisfied, and we're gonna be back out there in a short time doing this cabling work, because in reality, that's really the vital part of the project, is the cable and then the controls. You know, it's not really the light.
It's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Now, that's
The first time.
Did you say that the 28 could be put into that account?
it can be part of your investment charge. In other words, the way the investment charge works is we would pay for this work at the end of the year. When that is recalculated, then the city begins to pay, I think it's 17% a year. Is that, they're right, Dr. Curley, on the percentage that the city's paying on the investment charge. So over 5-6 year period, it would be repaid through the investment charge.
So we're not doing anything with the Webster Road lights?
No, sir, this is just for Ron and Emery,
They're still on the old system?
both of them.
Which ones you say, Webster?
Yeah, this is strictly just for Ron and Emery Street
I don't get any
intersection.
complaints about Webster like we do with Emery.
You talking about where you turn off the Fisk?
Yes,
You get run over if the sun's out, if you're not
It's
careful.
not good in yet. Those lights need to be replaced as well. You travel through there any time when the sun is only.
Is that the only ones we'll like, Steve?
on this end of town now,
Yeah.
on the far end of town, that McDonald's and CVS are still incandescent. Should be a little cheaper.
Cabling wouldn't need to be changed over there because that wasn't put up until 90. That was later, sometime in the 90s, when that wreck, I remember the wreck that happened that caused that.
We haven't had any trouble with conflict monitor, the control monitor there. So I'm saying probably just fixture wise there.
So around 29, 17.
Well, it should be back in that $7,000-8,000 range, because I included fixture heads and splitting that 13, whatever it was, in half back 2 years ago, so I'm sure it's jumped up. So just fixture heads only, if that's all you had to do, would be in the $7,000-8,000 range, I would think.
You know, I'm like Ken, I think it's our duty to do it right, that way the people that follow us up in this seat don't have to fool with it.
Well, we've heard some complaints about that one out there, Bill and several other places.
So we'd go to about 36,000 basically, if we added say $8,000.
I was thinking, yeah.
Well, don't we just do them all?
That's what I'm thinking, that's where we bite the bullet, fix them.
Seems to be a consensus. Is there a motion?
Motion.
State your motion, please.
Motion is to, you said fix them all, right?
Well, I don't know if we wanna do the ones south yet. Certainly out here,
Well, no, we were talking about Webster and Emery. I thought that's what you meant by all.
I'm talking about these 10 plus.
Let me interject something. If you're gonna do that on the investment charge, and we haven't budgeted anything, I mean, we can accommodate it in electric department, okay? But it's not a part of our
Yeah, we got
budget to do this. If you're gonna do that, I would ask you to consider, Emery Street and Webster, and then we can build into next year's budget, get the cost on the ones on the south end, because, you know, basically the way that investment chart, we're gonna front all the money on this, so. you know,
All
we'll have to,
all I was talking about was Webster.
Yes, sir. But I just wanna make our
Motion,
chairman aware.
motion is by you then to go ahead and do the $28,000 retrofit with cabling for Emery Street, and then to change the heads out on Webster Pike. Webster Pike intersection. Is there a second?
Second?
Councilman Minor makes a motion, Councilman Best makes a second, Councilman Minor.
I just think we need to do it, we need to do it correctly and move on with it.
Councilman Best.
I think we need to do it, and I think next year we need to go ahead and start looking at doing the other side to be up in compliance.
Floor's open. Possibly, it's gonna be, $35,000 for both, about that, something like that. If it's way beyond that, for some reason, just let us know. Any more questions?
And in regards to the future, you might also consider where you're talking about the south end. You know, there's a bad need down there for the interstate lights, and looking at that whole lighting situation down there. So I would suggest that all that be incorporated together in looking at what it's gonna take to really light up that intersection. You know, there's not adequate lighting, that's a big draw down there, people coming off the interstate, obviously. So I would suggest, in looking ahead to next year, we consider all of that as a project. Now, it could be split up in phases or something, but
My thoughts on that would be to get rid of those 1,000-watt tower lights and put LEDs.
Done got that in the works.
Because those things, they eat us alive with
Yeah.
electricity costs.
Okay, it's a good point.
Question.
Yes.
Has anybody thought about the walk, don't walk at Harriman High School?
I thought they brought
Crossing
it
it-
up last
crossing it,
time,
Jerry,
because that's one of the reasons we, if I remember correctly, we brought up Rome Street and Emery Drive, because there's so much traffic there and students in and out, and I thought we wanted to do it all.
There was something there that kept us from doing that, though. There was some, I don't remember what the reason for it was. Do you know what it would be, why?
as I remember the discussion at the time, the discussion just centered on replacing the signal heads. Those don't walk units they weren't repairable, and it was just decided to go with what you could do within your budget coming times at the time.
I guess,
As I remember.
can you get us a price on that? Because there was something there that was, the reason we didn't do it.
The old ones we had downtown, we worked at the time.
Didn't have to do with having to make everything compliant, sidewalks and everything, if we did, so we left that one out.
Could have been it. I don't know what it was. The $100,000 is in my mind for some reason for that intersection. I don't know. But you couldn't see, you couldn't read what they had, those old ones, so we just took them down because they were dangerous. Any more discussion? Questions? Call the roll.
Wayne Best.
Yes.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Kenyon Me.
Yes.
Ken Minnet.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is consideration and acceptance of the city attorney RFQ. We left this a month ago with questions about how to replace that position, whether it was going to be with an election or hired on retainer. And I know you got an MTS opinion, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. In summary, MTS's opinion basically was that upon the resignation of the previous city attorney, the provisions of the old city charter expired, and therefore the process for getting a new city attorney would be for the council to make the appointment.
That's what I was told we could do.
Yeah.
for the council to make the appointment or to make the hire? It's a, is it hired? It has to be. It
Yeah,
would
it's
have
a
to be.
hire, it's not an
It's a
appointment.
hire because it was only, if it's run by the new charter, it would be a hire.
And they may be using that term interchangeably because their letter actually says appointment, but they also go on to say that the compensation can be set either hourly as a lump sum per month or year. Fee basis, it can be at the council's discretion.
Currently, the previous city attorney was budgeted and paid $5,400 a year. And then if there are any litigation costs that we ask him to do, or I'm sorry, any litigation that we ask him to do above and beyond what was above the scope of the job, we paid him, he billed us an hourly rate.
Do we have the scope of the job defined?
Yeah, it was in the RFQ.
I'm talking about, is that from the old city attorney?
Provide high-quality and timely legal opinions to the mayor, city council, and city manager. Provide legal opinions to the department heads as approved by the mayor, city council, or city manager. Attend meetings, planning commission, council, board of zoning appeals. Attend special call meetings and work sessions of the city council. Attend staff meetings when requested. Become generally familiar with the charter, the codes of ordinances, zoning ordinance, state and federal municipal law, and other applicable city policies and procedures, such as personnel policies, and render legal opinions on those when needed. Provide advice to and represent the city on a variety of legal matters, prosecute violations and municipal ordinances, draft and review ordinances, resolutions, charter changes, contracts, other documents as directed by the mayor, the city council, and the city manager. Review and make recommendations on a variety of projects and proposals which have legal ramifications. Stay abreast on new legislation and court decisions to advise the mayor, city council, and city manager when ordinances, policies, or procedures need amending to remain in compliance with the most current state and federal legislative and rulings. Assist and advise the collection of delinquent taxes and or delinquent revenues. Research alternative approaches to resolving legal problems.
That came out of email.
Day-to-day advice.
Well, I mean, the ordinances and all that's in whatever compensation is agreed upon, all of that's in there. And it's just the litigation, the issues above and beyond that we pay extra for.
I know for sure, I'd have to go back and look at it for all the exclusions, but I do know that the delinquent tax collection is not included under the proposal as it was submitted to us.
The proposal?
We use sand, that's what we use sand for. McPherson.
Of that list that the mayor just read, looking for it, there were a couple of exclusions. Initially, it initially excluded the taxes and the prosecution of violations in of municipal ordinances. We later met and discussed the situation regarding the prosecution of municipal ordinances in city court, and agreed that that would be included as part of the base services to be provided. So essentially it would be prosecution of any ordinance that went outside of the city court, and the taxes, and outside litigation would be the three exclusions.
Where am I missing a copy of what you're talking about?
It wasn't included in our packet.
Oh, well, don't you don't think I need to know what?
You should already have it.
It's emailed to us.
Yeah, you should already have it.
It was in
I
the
might
packet,
have.
it was in the packet the night that the item first came up for discussion.
You mentioned prosecuting ordinances and violations in the city court. I don't believe that was part of the duties of the former attorney. In fact, I don't think I ever saw him in city court.
And the feedback that I've received from city staff was that that was a bit of an issue in getting some things taken care of. So that's why we requested to include it this time.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, we recommend that everybody have an attorney when they go to court, and then we don't go to court with one ourselves. That doesn't make sense.
So it's everything except two items?
Yes, sir, everything, do you have the page that says scope
I-
of services? Okay, 12 is excluded, item number 12 is excluded. And item number 8, if it goes beyond city court, would be excluded.
Yeah, I understand that. So everything else is included, okay.
As part of the base fee,
Yes, right.
she would still be willing to provide those services, it would just roll into an hourly billing at that point.
Yeah, if we go beyond just like with Harold, we pick up the hourly. So what do you want us to do?
You all have to make the hire.
We're basically looking at what we're, when we make the hire, we're agreeing to pay what's in that,
Proposal.
proposal, right?
Right.
Or the proposal, scope of services, or the compensation could be negotiated. If you have questions or wanted it restructured, we can make changes to this if they're minor and don't completely change the basis of what we took the request for. But major changes would require us to do the process over again.
Me I'm all for hiring an attorney. I think we needed one 4 months ago. We should have had one. I'm a little confused as to what we're looking at here as far as, because it's been a couple of months, I guess, since I've looked at that, to see what the pay scale was, what the,
We already have, council has already voted to go with Allison. We need to decide, now that we know that it's a hire rather than an election, we need to decide whether we're gonna hire her based on her proposal, which was, I think, $800 a month. What we have budgeted is $450 a month for Harold. So that, in my opinion, is the discussion.
Do we need that in the contract form?
Yeah, you know, or you can make a motion to allow Kevin to negotiate that with her, the pay. And it's also like any other position, it can be renegotiated at our next budget, which we're going to be doing now, our budget for the upcoming year. It'd be rather hard to change a line item in the budget as far as pay. You could do it, or it'll be an amendment, but.
I don't think you would necessarily have to amend this year's budget, would you, because the salary has not been paid out?
Because the difference, right.
But you would have to, if you want the proposal, be prepared to budget additional funds in next year's budget.
I thought we had we've hired her already, so.
Well, I think maybe what Chris is saying is right, that we gotta give him some guidance on what we wanna do, right?
Her proposal, there wasn't any other proposal that we needed to. So,
Just the exclusions, what we just mentioned of the tax sales and the court litigation beyond C-Court.
so the only thing the question is money.
And it was proposed at $800 per month for those services, and then $150 hourly if additional services were needed, provided.
Since we haven't paid Harold since,
I just asked, I think August maybe.
something like that. So we ought to be able to support it. I don't know, can we support $800 a month for the rest of the fiscal year?
For the rest of the year,
Well, may I add something to that?
4 months. Yeah.
I mean, you can request to the city clerk like I had to do to find out how much we'd spend in legal services, so if anybody's got any question, if we could afford it, email Angie and ask her for what we paid and what we paid for legal counsel. We paid a lot more than $450 a month, so you can request the document from Angie if you'd like.
Well, let me make a motion that we authorize Kevin to negotiate with her and come up with some sort of compensation package and bring that back to us next week so we can approve or disapprove it.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor.
Second motion.
Motion by Councilman Minor. Councilman Minor.
No, sir.
Councilman Best.
No, sir.
Floor is open for question or discussion.
Could you prepare a little contract while you're at it, Kevin, or had it done?
Call roll, please.
Wayne Best,
Yes.
Buddy Holly,
Yes.
Kenyon Me,
Yes.
Ken Minnet,
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
Last item was discuss and possibly take action on accepting bids to replace fencing around ball fields. We hope to have a approval for our plans that we approved with the image repair money coming. But this is probably a 2-week process that we would like to get out of the way. That way, if the approval comes for the image repair funds, that we can go ahead and move quickly. So this would not be authorizing any type of spending any money, just accept bids to see what this will cost us. And that way we can then accept a low bidder and move on quickly when we get the money. So I guess I would ask for a motion to go ahead and go accept bids for the replacement of the ball fields that we currently have under our umbrella as a city.
I make a motion to go ahead and put out for bids.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Best and a second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Best?
No, I think this is something that we need to do for a while, and I'm taking this just doing it.
Councilman Wright?
I feel the same.
Oh, floor is open for discussion.
Are these just the ones?
Yeah, who determined?
South Harriman and
It's the ones down, all of them at Flour Mill Flats, South Harriman, and I've got a list of them somewhere. We've gotten a phone estimate when we started this. Yeah, it's all of them at Flour Mill and South Harriman. That may be it.
What, have we looked at any specs on what kind of fence?
Those specs are there for like the fence at South Harriman. You have to have a certain gauge and a certain height, and those are all laid out. Any more questions?
on these fences, and this may be just a little bit off, We got a motion, so we just go. Out at South Harriman, we got that tennis court we talked about for 10 years, that's been used for nothing. I like to just take it out of it. It's nothing but a safety hazard. We've had kids get hurt out there every year, falling when they're practicing, and plant some grass there and using it for a little practice field, if nothing else. It's not utilized for anything. I know you're gonna say we got grant money or funding money, but it's not a tennis court. If it's a tennis court, I'd say, okay, but it's not. It's a piece of pavement sitting there with a fence around it.
I think we still have to get state approval.
I think as long as it's used for a rec complex is the way I understand it, but, you know, I just, to me, it's a hazard. It's a safety hazard for the kids, it has been. Whatever we need to do, I think we need to do it. Whether we have to get state approval, whoever, but there's no poles there for tennis courts, there's no nothing there. And we go over and warm up, and when you got cleats on and you're on a tennis court, it just don't work good. And that's the only place we got to warm up, unless we're going highway. I just talked to Drac, it's not gonna cost much money, he said they could do it. I just think while we're fixing, we need to go ahead and do some cosmetic stuff at the same time.
I mean, we're actually not, just because it was a park grant, we're not, I mean, it's no longer that park, so.
And it'll still be a park, it'll
And
still
you're
be.
keeping it red, so I would think it'd be an
I
issue.
talked to my attorneys out there.
Will have.
Well, that's what, I think that's what Harold recommends, is go back here, we're involved with the state first, and make sure that they don't have a problem with us taking the park
I
business.
think it was Bob's opinion on what he heard from back when they started the grants, what we were
Which,
basing it on.
you know, if you go down Woody Street, we've got a park down there that got the same grant money at the same time for the same thing, and it's no longer there. So, I mean,
But it's not being used for something.
but we're gonna use
It's
it
an
for,
open space.
it's just open space, we're gonna keep this as a park. But
That's separate, yeah, we can do that separate, this is just on the fencing right now.
just wanted to get you all, you know, to be thinking about it.
We want to take it down.
Any more questions about the bids? Call roll, please.
Wayne Best,
Yes.
Buddy Holly,
Yes.
Kenyon Me,
Yes.
Ken Minnet,
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes.
March 4th, tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Princess, there's a free showing of the movie Glory. So be sure and go by, donations accepted. Also, don't forget, shop your local businesses, shop Harriman, shop Roane County when you can. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?